Hi everybody, welcome back to ComeonyespursTV, where we talk about everything Tottenham. Today I got Chuma with me, and just gonna head straight into it. Tottenham. It's a hell of a ride for Tottenham this season, and it hasn't. I don't know. It's people have this notion that are we going to get back on our winning ways, or are we going to just keep sliding down the table? I mean, at the moment we've lost, 12 matches in the season so far. We have we're playing well. Well, not playing well. We're still in the cup competitions, So some people say, look, we might end up winning one cup, two cups, maybe all three. Who knows, and live up to the Ange. Well, I won't call it the Ange hype. That's the question of us of winning something in his second season. Will Ange win something this season? It's for us to wait and see. Enough of me blabbing on. Chuma, come on. How are you?
Oh no, I'm super good. I'm super good because up until the win yesterday against Hoffenheim, I was more my kingdom for a win, my kingdom for a win. But now we finally won a game, so I know what winning feels like. So now I can say, Tottenham are back ish.
Yeah.
But before I go, we'll just hit you with a little housekeeping. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome to Come On You Spurs TV, what we like to describe as the Afrobeat section of the Lily White Nation. If this is your first time viewing Come On You Spurs TV, why don't you subscribe so you can get more of the same? We talk about everything to do with Spurs. So just like the video for the algorithm, click on notification bell, tells you when we push out new content, written or video as well. And as always, it's come on you Spurs, and thank you Spurs for winning against Hoffenheim. Spurs 3, Hoffenheim 2. Brilliant.
Thank you, Chuma. I mean, I watched that match yesterday, and I was like some sort of detached in a way because I just had this a little bit of confidence that we will win. And when the first two goals went in, and we had plenty of missed opportunities before we had two lead, I was thinking to myself, we'll still win comfortably. And then I saw them go back. I mean, a goal that side, the penalty, and all that sort of thing. And I thought to myself, are we in for another rough ride again? And it kind of felt like a nail biter somewhat, but at the same time, it also felt comfortable. I don't know if you know what I mean, because
Yeah.
I mean, it was like in matches like that, you just can never legislate against things happening in the last minute. Somebody punts a ball in the penalty box, passes off somebody plays a deflection shot, it goes into the net, and people think, oh my goodness, here we go again, But thankfully, we were able to, ride the storm in quotes and, came away with results. But I just saw Son of Old, with, okay, the first goal, he didn't take it as well as I thought he would have, but hey, the ball went in the net, who cares how it went in. Second one, which was typical Son, trademark Son, on the left foot. And I think one of the qualities of, obviously good strikers is that the ability to fit comfortably. And Son is one of these real key, proponents of that. I don't know, alongside Harry Kane, of course, when Harry was here, But yeah, it was good to see.
Yeah, no, indeed. For me, I looked at the game yesterday. I look at Son. So if we start on Sonny, with Sonny, it's a case of do you think he's an overworked player? Because think about it, like the sheer number of games he's played for Spurs, and then he has to fly to Korea to play for South Korea. He's had a never-ending last 2 years, if you think about it, in terms of movement, being occupied, the World Cup, and he's been working non-stop. And at some point, it takes a toll on someone's body. Needless to say, he's now in his 30s, which means he's been playing professional football for at least 15 years. And people go, well, people play career. No, think about the consistency in having to discipline yourself, having to work out, having to run, having to travel, having at best 2-3 weeks holiday. Yes, you say they get compensated a great deal. Yes, indeed. But my goodness, that sheer workload on that body at some point, because I think what was symptomatic for me of the fact that I think he's overworked is Son used to specialize in these first time finishes. There's that angle, curl the ball, top corner, top
Like,
bins.
yeah.
That's Son. But lately, Son lacks power in his shot, or he snatches at shots, and you're thinking he just wants to do what he can do, but his body is not allowing him to do it. It's not that his body is past it; his body is tired. And if Son had any kind of rest period or rotation period where he can just be himself for your better games, I think you'd see a different Son.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the feeling never goes. That second goal showed you exactly who it was. One step over, bang.
Yeah, I mean,
That's Son.
which kind of brings us to the challenge Tottenham is facing at the moment, which is the squad size, the injuries that we're going through, and the fact that they're just so depleted. And the question is, will Daniel Levy go out transfer market, buy replacements? We had that discussion, and it's been 24 days into the transfer window now, 6 or 7 more days to go. We don't have anyone in, and people are saying this is like trademark Levy. Is that on a lack of endorsement of Ange? Maybe some Ange should be start to think about his job and think, okay, these guys are not prepared to back me. Again, if that's the case, comes in to replace Ange. Second question is that there are no suitable players available for them to go after, or they just are not prepared to spend the money. What exactly is going on? I mean, you have a theory. You want to share that theory with us?
my theory is the same theory I've been running for the last couple of years, last couple of months, which is Daniel Levy never combines the same two things. He doesn't pay high. He doesn't like. Well, I'll say he doesn't like to often do the same thing, which is pay high transfer fees and high wages. Those two things never come together. He could either pay the transfer fee and he knows he's getting a bargain wage earner. Case in point being, I think we spent over 25, 30 mil for Van der Ven, right? However, he could have structured those payments, and Van der Ven is earning less than £60,000 a week. So that's a good deal for him, because if Van der Ven does as well as they expect him to, all he will do is top up his money to 80 grand. So where these two things don't align, in my opinion, the high transfer fee and the wages, Daniel Levy is there. But if the two things should align, where you have to pay over 40, 50 million, and you have to also pay over 100 or 150,000 pounds for a player, I don't think Daniel Levy is interested. Daniel Levy would never do the two things. So I think every deal, this is just my opinion, every deal Spurs are engaged in now has to be something where they can. I think they're going for loans. They're going to go for loans with options to buy, and the wages have to be. If the loan is going to happen, the loan fee wouldn't be high, even if the wages are, and so long as the wages don't break the wage limit or wage cap.
Let me just put it right here. All of this is just too much opinion. It's not based on any
This
fact.
is too much opinion. That's why I said, in my opinion, or I believe, or I feel.
Right.
I say these three things everywhere I go.
Right.
I believe that it's with 7 days to go. If you've not made any signings in terms of things, it's either you got an ultra secretive signing that you, or 2-3 signings that you got. In which case, I'll be super impressed with Johan Lange. I'll be so impressed with him if he can pull off 2-3 signings that actually improve the squad depth at the moment. If he can do that, then I'll doff my hat. I'll apologize straight up. However, I think it's going to be loan signings if we do any signings at all. And yeah, it's just a case of, like, the theory is flying out right now is, why buy players for Ange if you're going to sack him? And if we go through this entire transfer window without signing, that could add more fuel to that fire that Ange is getting sacked in February. That someone said to me he has today and Sunday. Then when we won yesterday, the same person now came back and said, no. He has until the Liverpool return leg. He loses that, he loses his job. So I don't know. People keep pushing the Ange sacking goalposts. In my opinion, I would like the guy to stay. I would like him to ride out this thing and get his full team back. Yes, Spurs can be open, Spurs can be porous in midfield, but it was never this bad with his full complement of players. Yes, we still need three goals to win, but you could see those 3 goals coming. So for me, I think it's been a very interesting season. Very interesting season for me. I think in terms of he has adapted. He has actually tweaked and adapted, but because of the losing streak, nobody is noticing or nobody's giving him props. He's tried to defend, and we've gotten pummeled. He's tried to mid block, pummeled. So if his way works for him and he sees that as the only way, I don't see why, you know, why he shouldn't be allowed to
Yeah, but
play, to stay on.
yeah, the truth of the matter is that look, every manager adapts, but they have what they call core principles, right? They have maintained those core principles, adapt game to game, situation that they're faced with. And Ange is no different. But because, me, I feel he's, I don't want to call him a victim, but I just think he's some of those people who, because he's Australian, the British press and the way he's dealt with is, for me, it's never fair compared to other managers, right? Because when Emery plays a very high line, he's never been turned as suicidal whenever he loses matches. And it, every team, I was trying to sort of, I was watching a match the other day. I think it was Liverpool and Lille, and I had a Liverpool fan with me who was watching with me. And I said to him, "You know what this thing people say about Ange playing high line? Can you just have a look at your team now? Team, tell me where they are. I mean, in comparison to Lille." And they were right in Lille's box. I said, look, the truth of the matter is, look, every team plays a high line, depending on what phase of the game that they're in. Now, if the other team is attacking, you can't keep playing on the center circle. Of course, you don't do that. Nobody does that. So the high line is the idea is to compress the field and ensure that you play and you sort of have lesser transitions and you have your keeper sweeping and all that sort of thing. But now and again, people will bound sort of okay, try and break it or sort of get through it, and that's not unusual. That's what happens in most matches. But it's like every team has but only Ange gets stick. So that's one. I wanted to that is this right. So we had this board yesterday of what mainly young players. I mean, we had no one on the bench that I knew other than Lancashire and more. And even those are not like your big name players anyway. Richarlison couldn't just come off from injury. It was almost like crazy to play him for 90 minutes. They had to bring someone on. It's like for me, it's like we now have a situation whereby you're forced to play those young players for those sort of matches. But that brings us also to match on Sunday. We're playing Leicester at home. We had a draw with them the first match of the season, and some people said, "Oh, that was symptomatic of how the season was going." But I felt that match we just weren't clinical enough in terms of taking our chances, and that happens even the best teams in the world. But I just have this. Come Sunday, we'll at least we'll be able to celebrate. I hope 2 wins on the trot, which we haven't had in quite a while.
Exactly.
But I mean, Leicester are also going through their troubles at the moment. They've gotten over the new manager bounce. So I hope we don't have a Dr. Tottenham on call on Sunday.
Yeah, but you have to you have to look at the irony of the situation. Hoffenheim are similar to Spurs but they're 17th in the German Bundesliga. They've lost the same number of games. Their star striker, a guy called Andre Kamarich, came out to say that their season was what do you call it? We're having a crappy season. Is a nice way of saying it. He came out on literally on their version of Match of the Day. They interviewed him after a 5-0 loss. The guy said, "This is a crappy season." And he said that in the worst possible way. So it was a case of it was either going to be Dr. Tottenham or Dr. Hoffenheim yesterday, and Dr. Hoffenheim won.
Right.
And Spurs almost Dr. Tottenham them. But then you look at Leicester, coming into Leicester, it's been very hard for Ruud van Nistelrooy taking over that job to try to stabilize the team. I don't think it's a squad built for him. And he's also bringing, you have to think of who Van Nistelrooy has coached. He was coaching PSV Eindhoven, who have probably amongst the best Dutch players in Holland. alongside Ajax and Feyenoord. So he's elite Dutch boys. He now comes to be assistant to Manchester United. Fair dues, Manchester is not what it used to be, but they are still much better. Now he's come to these guys who are struggling, bereft of confidence, and he has to coach something out of them, and he's trying his best. Tottenham now come to meet them at a point where we've just gotten this win. Hopefully, get the players to rest today, take some training tomorrow, um, and see what it is in terms of. I just want to see what the back four would be like for Spurs. I have no issues with the front guys per se. My problem is the back four. And I just saw something literally, I think, just before we came on air, where someone put down that instead of having Reguilon play left back, you'd have Davis. So you could still do Dragusin and Gray in centre back, and then have Ben Davis as this. And then the guy even went further to say, instead of having Davis invert into midfield the way Ange does, just have Porro do it. So you have a back three, which with Gray in the middle, Gray could always enter into midfield from the center. And I looked at that tactically, the young guy who put that up, I was very impressed because it looked like that's a very solid, that's a very pep thing to do. Just allow one person go in, not two, which, by the way, has been happening recently. We're not inverting as much, but nobody's noticing because of all the losses. The Spurs left back and right back are not coming into midfield the way they used to. They're staying fairly wide, especially with Dragusin to help him get the ball out because opposition are targeting Dragusin now. But yeah, I look at that game, and then if you have Bentancur in midfield, Bergval, Madison, I think you have enough creativity. And Bergval, like we were talking about before, that young man is doing a lot that I think is getting noticed, but not as noticed as much. That boy is everything Ange likes in a midfield, central midfield player. He's not a 6, he's not an 8. He can do either one for you. He wants to get stuck in. The physically stronger he gets, that boy is going to be a machine. Right now, you can see he wants to get in the mix, and he has the skill after doing the little brutal physical thing to come out with the ball. And yesterday there was a double back flick thing. I don't know if you saw it between him and Kulusevski. Because they're back heel. I was like, dude, and the two of them are always looking for each other.
I was going to mention that we had some changes of play in that match that was like, vintage handball. Like really, really good.
One-touch football. Yeah. I also loved the way Madison has come under a lot of flack. And I would say even from me, because I expected more from him. But when I think of the fact that Madison, if you look at his career trajectory and his history, you find out he's never really played a full season for any club. He's played like 60%. He always gets injured. But you think about he's a playmaker that plays in pocket. So they're always kicking him. So I look at him now, but yesterday, like the last couple of games, I would say you're seeing some sparks of him, the guy who he was in the first 10 games last season. And yesterday, I thought he was really up for it, and I thought he was really in the game. And his goal, he took that so well. It's similar to the goal he took against Southampton. Nice and early trap, bam.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, when I saw the way that they celebrated at the end, and even all the goals, it was like, so that sort of kind of relief that been through the mill, at least we're winning, and it's like that was really good. I mean, Madison was at the head of that. That was quite.
No, mark my words. If this team is allowed to stay the whole season, they don't fear of relegation is removed and all that. We get to 40 points. Who would ever thought we'd say that? We get to 40 points. We get to 40 points. Threat of relegation, and we're still in 2 or 3 of the cups, right? This season has served this group of players so well in ways people don't understand. The baptism of fire, even for the young players, they may or may not stay at Spurs, but the fact that they've been through this, in my opinion, I think because Bergval and Gray especially, you're looking at 2 of them, they have emerged. And where were they ever going to get this kind of experience if we hadn't had the injury crisis? And I'm not wishing the injury crisis on anyone, but my goodness, you found out if they can sink or swim. They swim. They swim very well. So, it's interesting.
It's really, 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 really good. We talk about transfer, we talk about the match on Sunday, we talk about the bit of Hoffenheim game. Now, I mean, I know everyone's looking at Ange's position and why is he even under any scrutiny. I mean, I know that we don't have good results. Things haven't gone so well. But if anyone who is in their right mind, and I'm not saying that those who say they should be sacked are not in their right minds. Don't get me wrong. It's like, look, let's get a big picture and let's try and take an objective perspective of this, right? And say, how many teams have team players out? We had today that Jed Spence is out as well. I mean, how does that even happen in terms of? I mean, when you say it's like it's a very 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 difficult hand it's being dealt with, right? And the question is, even if you brought somebody else in now, and they get the same result out of player, like you hear some people say to me that, oh yeah, Newcastle had the same sort of injury crisis, got through it. Bournemouth had have 10 players out, beat I think was it Chelsea? I can't remember who played against. Came out on top, and like, why can't we do the same thing? Why can't we overcome those challenges? But again, a lot of those people, that's what I call rewriting history, or not exactly contextualizing the issues at hand in terms of what those players that are injured, as far as the whole framework is concerned, at what point they get injured, and when did this happen? I think that over a sustained period. And we've had the last 10, 12 games. That has been the case, and it's, I don't know, it's a sad state of affairs from our perspective. But I think, in fairness, I think we've it's a difficult time, but I just get the feeling that we're going to get over it, and I just hope it doesn't get sacked, That's my that's my hope. I can't guarantee that's not going to happen, but hey,
No, I hope he doesn't get sacked, but I look at, like you say about the revision of history, and my prayer is if he gets through this period and Spurs get through this period, perchance Spurs wins a cup, Spurs whatever rises up the table. I would enjoy to see how much revisionism would exist among the Spurs fan base about this period. I want to see how they'll talk about this period. But then that's still to come if it happens. But you look at a team like Spurs, and we talked about the fact that Spurs did really, really well last season without Harry Kane. And some people go to me, oh, don't bring up Harry Kane. But it's the truth that in the 2 years Mourinho was present, and in the year and a half Conte was here as well, like, you had a Harry Kane. And people underestimate what that means in terms of, even in a season where Harry Kane didn't score 20 something goals, which was that season, Son was top scorer. This is for Conte. He still had damn near like 10 to 15 assists. And he still had 15 plus goals. Then you look at the Mourinho period as well. He was banging goals right, left, and center in a poor. So you have this game changer. Now you look at all these other clubs we face that have things. Bukayo Saka is out of Arsenal. Saka is a game changer. They are winning, but not like how they won with him there, right? You look at Liverpool without Salah. Salah is a game changer. These guys are ever present for them, the same way Kane was for us. Now you say Son is that guy, but Son was the Robin to the Batman of Kane. If Kane was present here now without injuries, let's just say he didn't get injured or anything, would we be saying the same? You'd have that guy that you give him that ball in 90 minutes, he's curling it in, or he's creating a chance for Kulu or somebody else. So you have taken a lot of factors into why Ange's thing has not worked. But I just find it so interesting how people say, well, he's lost X amount of games, and if this was Conte, if this was Mourinho, we'd be shouting for them to be sacked. And, oh, you wanted Conte out, you wanted Mourinho. I wanted them out stylistically. And then Conte, I like Conte. We have episodes of this podcast to prove it. I love Conte. But what I didn't like was his attitude or his emotional outbursts. I thought it wasn't helpful. It was never solution-based. It was always accusatory. And I'm like, that's not how you run a club. And that's why I give Ange the upper hand over these guys. He takes the responsibility. He knows the things that are wrong or not working in his favor, but he doesn't use them as crutches to speak to the I still insist the Australian bias is there. this Australian guy. You know, I saw something on our WhatsApp group the other day where it was, oh well, you know, was it the Australian Steve Bruce?
Yeah.
That made me laugh. As much as it ticked me off, it irks me. It actually made me laugh. The Australian Steve Bruce, but then he goes on to say, you know, a guy who's only won in Scotland and Japan. Oh, so he's won something. So then he's not Steve Bruce, but the irony is lost on the irony is lost on our brother that made those comments.
He hasn't won
He's actually won
the major leagues, you know. Okay.
You know, he hasn't won in the major leagues. And you know, like we all talk about all these things about, you know, in recent times, the people down the road, Arteta had 4 or 5 years to get where he is now, and he's challenging regularly. People forget that. They say, oh, but why are you comparing him to Arteta? He used to be a manager. He's won things. Arteta was inexperienced. Okay, then you flip it to Alex Ferguson. Then they tell you, how dare you compare him to Alex Ferguson? But hold on. Alex Ferguson came from Scotland, where he had won two titles in 3 years. He came to England, and
just 2 years.
He floundered for a good 4 years until he won an FA Cup. 4 years, 4 seasons. He won absolutely nothing. For 4 years, he was on the brink of getting sacked, same as Ange is now. And the chairman, Martin Edwards, he outranked them and stopped the sacking. The board voted for Sir Alex Ferguson to get sacked. Martin Edwards overruled them and kept him on, and he won an FA Cup.
Thank you, man.
And the rest but people don't have that kind of patience. And if you look at it back then, you weren't having Manchester United fans clamoring to sack Alex Ferguson because we didn't have a connected society the way we do now, where everybody's emotions and feelings are instantly aired. They're instantly aired. People are followers. When they say you're a follower, it's because you're following somebody, and the person's opinions all of a sudden become your opinions as well. You're barely allowed to make your own opinions in this time or have any kind of patience because someone is telling you that your club needs to win and they need to win now, and all the other clubs are useless. Your club should be killing them, but the other clubs are thinking the exact same thing too. So who wins when everyone thinks that everyone else is better? You know. So these are the things. So basically, I'm saying I'm Ange in. I wish ENIC would change chief executive, and I wish they would change their style of transfers, because I'm sorry, we had 6-7 injuries before Christmas. That's when you start planning your January. You already know who you're getting. I was so impressed when they got the young Kinski. I was really impressed. It showed me they'd been watching him, and they just went and they made the move quickly. I love that. But after that, I'm like, where's it? Where the rest? You know? But I'm Ange in. I think, allow him die on his sword.
I don't want to sort of speculate on behind the scenes because I don't want to believe for 1 second that nothing's happening. I mean, I don't want to believe that. No right players can mean anything. It can be a mix of loans, like you said. It can be a mix of transfer fees. It can be a mix of players wanting to come, availability and all sorts of stuff that fits players want the positions we want them. So I think hopefully something will happen, and maybe they pull out another rabbit out of the hat. But yeah, I mean, thank you guys for listening. We love your opinion and we love your comments in the comment section. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Nice.